So yesterday for the unveiling of the Big 12 schedule, I was on with the Under Official Review podcast, Drew England, as well as PG and Travis Davidson. And together we were talking about not only Oklahoma's prospective schedule, but also the Big 12 as a whole. And ever since then, I've been thinking about something, been thinking about who could be players that really help propel Oklahoma during the 2023 season. And time again, I arrive at a name offensively, and today I thought I'd go ahead and make a video about it. And today we're going to talk about a player that the Oklahoma Sooner fan base needs to be very excited about. An individual that I think is set for a big year in 2023. And of course, we're talking about Jalil Farooq. Before we jump into this, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe Jalil Farooq is in for a big year in 2023? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love nothing more than to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And as I stated during the intro, I've been giving a lot of thought into who are players that could really help Oklahoma during the course of the 2023 season. And there are a lot of different ways we could talk about this. We could break it into offensive and defensive, but offensively, I looked at one room in particular. A room that had some talent in it this year, but is set to lose a lot of the guys that helped it be so productive. And that's that Oklahoma wide receiver room. Because if we look at the top 6 in receiving yards for the Oklahoma Sooners, only 2 are set to return in 2023. Jalil Farooq and Drake Stoops. And Drake Stoops has been such a powerful asset to this team, but who are going to be the guys? Who are the young guys that are going to step up alongside of him? And that's where the name Jalil Farooq really stands out to me for multiple reasons. So let's get into the obvious first. How Lebby utilized him in this offense. One thing we talk about at length is this Lebby offense is going to utilize a lot of different sets to try and put a defense off balance. They want to create chaos for a defense. And one of the ways Lebby was able to do this successfully was by utilizing Jalil Farooq in the rushing game, because he was one of 6 Sooners to go for over 100 yards in that category as well, which really paints the picture I'm trying to get across here. That this is someone that the coaching staff really value. They value his versatility, they value his athletic ability, and they certainly value the ball in his hands. That's why time and time again you would see him on orbit motions, on all of these different motions, because they're using him as a chess piece. And that is where a player gets really dangerous. We talk about this all the time. It's one thing to be a phenomenal playmaker when the ball is in your hands, but when you really start imparting your will on a football game is when a defense has to account for you whenever you don't have the ball in your hands. And this is what they were trying to do with Jalil Farooq by moving him all over the formation, by showing defenses so many different ways they would get him the ball. One time they'd bring him across in motion and he'd get the ball instantly on a little sweep. The next time they'd bring him across in a similar motion and he wouldn't get the ball. But a defense would have to be thinking about what they had just previously seen and account for it. And this is where Jalil Farooq is going to help everybody in the offense in 2023. Because as I stated, the only other wide receiver that went over 100 yards for the Oklahoma Sooners that's set to return in 2023 is Drake Stoops. And while there is talent in the room, Nick Anderson, Gibson, LV Bunkley, Shelton, JJ Hester, there's inexperience in the room. And guys such as Drake Stoops, well, they're going to be called and asked to do a lot, but he needs people to help take some of the load off of him. And Jalil Farooq is an individual that can not only help take the load off of Drake Stoops, he can help the other guys come along easier as well, because defenses are going to have to pull resources to where Farooq is. And that's why I think he's set for such a big year in 2023. There are a lot of guys offensively we could have this conversation about, and I think deservedly so, especially when we look at the running back position, where Eric Gray is no longer going to be there, and he was such a large part of this Oklahoma offense, such a large part of what made it go. And a lot of other teams, if they were going to lose a rusher that went for 1,300 yards, you'd be much more concerned. However, your freshman running back went for over 500 yards, and Javonte Barnes. And then during the course of the bowl game, we saw what that 1-2 punch could look like with Barnes and Sawchuk, and it excited Oklahoma fans everywhere, and deservedly so. Those two guys right there look to be electric and look to be a duo that can play off of each other. But how can you start stacking your running backs with your wide receivers to keep a defense off balance? And once again, we get back to the usage of Jalil Farooq. It's not just his involvement as a wide receiver, but it's how he he's involved in the offense as a whole. You have two running backs who you're very excited about next year, but now think how much more a defense has to think about what's going on pre-snap whenever they see both of those running backs on the field and Jalil Farooq coming through the middle on a motion. Well, now there's three individuals who could get the ball in a matter of seconds after the ball being snapped that you have got to account for. It's things like this. It's just giving a defense an extra thing to think about, giving them an assumption that could be wrong. Is a reason why I think Farooq is going to be so heavily utilized in the offense this year for Oklahoma. And even times where he's not getting the ball, I am going to be of the belief that he is going to be a chess piece, that they are going to move around the football field because they did so this year. They already showed, even when they had a Marvin Mims, that this was a guy they were highly interested in getting involved in the offense. And what a year he had. 37 receptions, 466 yards, averaging 12.6 yards per reception. This is a guy that has big playability written all over him, and I'm super excited to see how he grows from being in Levy's system for 2 years and what this offense looks like. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this. There are several different Oklahoma players we can talk about and will talk about during the course of the coming weeks, but I absolutely wanted to start with Jalil Farooq because I think he is due for a big year in 2023. That's it. See ya.